Goody!
Alright, what is up everybody? It is Zombies here again, and today we have our second episode of Meta Monday. So we're going to be taking a look at some comps here that have been rather popular in the meta. We do have some decent changes from the last 2 weeks, some of which definitely have to do with the recent buffs that we talked about on the podcast that we've been seeing in the meta for a bit over a week now or so. And yeah, it's been really great to see. Let's dive into it and take a look at what has been popular. So some of the big decks here haven't gone anywhere. You'll probably recognize from last time we do have Nature Samuro here, which is totally unchanged. You're also going to notice, much like last time, almost every comp does have that Cairne Diablo cookie backline, and it just seems so incredibly efficient, and it combos with itself so nicely that majority of comps right now are running it as their backline. So don't be surprised when you see most of the comps here have those three. However, we should be seeing some new Mercenaries coming out with the release of the expansion in about a week or so. So hopefully that will change up the backbench game. But yeah, generally we just have our standard Malfurion, Samuro, and Brukan opener. I actually have to change Brukan's ability back to Lightning Rod because I was running the other one for farming, but you do want Lightning Rod in this build. But yeah, if you've been playing ladder at all for the past like 2 or 3 weeks, you've probably seen Nature Sam, and then its other counterpart in Shadow Sam. So this is the Vol'jin and Natalie opener, followed with Samuro, and then we have Cairne Diablo. And I actually forgot to put Cookie in here, so we'll look him up right now. Get Cookie in there. I have also seen a little bit of experimentation with Blink Fox. So if you want to try that over Cookie in a build like this, it's definitely something that's worth trying. You'll actually see that when we get to our Illidan Frost build. We actually have, that's the one build we have that's running Blink Fox over Cookie. But all the other ones are pretty much running that same backline. Then we talked about MAM a little bit on the podcast this week. I know Mullahu, big fan of this archetype, and I enjoy it as well. Just big, beefy Anduin getting out of control. This one you're kind of trying to leverage your healing with Anduin and Malfurion's nature healing ability. And then you have Mukla in kind of as your big boy taunt that can also leverage Mal's healing with those nature abilities. And it's just a good way of blocking Samuro in the early game since he is still very popular. I haven't played a lot of this one myself in the last few weeks, but from what I've heard, it sounds like it is still a pretty solid deck in the meta. Sadly, one deck we're not going to be seeing here today are Beasts. Unfortunately, Beasts have kind of taken a toll here due to the meta just being kind of hostile towards them with so many nature builds running around. Like we're actually seeing some pure nature now. So some builds that are actually dropping the Samuro entirely in favor of just running Guff for the full nature synergy at the start. And then you do have Cookie in there, get that little bit of bonus nature synergy if Malf or Brukan or Guff end up sticking around in the longer term. So definitely been seeing a little bit more of this in the past week, which is interesting. But yeah, Brukan just really messes up Beasts pretty hard because he can slow your Rexar to screw up your crush targeting. They might have a little bit of a better time against a pure nature lead because that you do have 2 blues to deal with, so it's that might be a little bit better favored. But I know from at least trying it out myself against the Nature Samuro, it is just a really rough time for Beasts. And since Nature Sam has been pretty popular, we aren't seeing as much Beasts in the higher ranks. Now, one comp that's kind of newer that we have here is Holy Cornelius. So Cornelius was one of the units that received a buff, and he's pretty bulky. We've been seeing him show up in a lot of different things recently, and I do think one of the best things I've seen him in so far is a holy comp that uses your standard Anduin and Velen, and you have Corn there for protection. He does give you that turn 1 taunt, which is big, and he does also have holy healing abilities, so that further synergizes with your Velen and your Anduin. So I haven't tried out much of this one yet. It's probably the one that's like next on my playlist, because it looks really fun, and I just finished maxing my Cornelius. So you do want his Shield of Dawn. Taking 3 less damage is really big. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is like quite a lot. And then we have our standard backline there. But yeah, this is a pretty solid one overall. Then taking a look at another comp that received some benefits from the recent buffs, we have Frost Illidan, and like I mentioned before, this is the only comp that kind of has a little bit different backline, running Blink Box instead of the Cookie. Illidan has felt really good. I've been liking the Demon Shroud item on him, make him survive a little bit longer. Razor Fist is quite good on Illidan too, so it's kind of hard to say which is really better. I have liked Demon Shroud quite a bit because giving your Illidan that little bit of extra survivability is really good, because then when he scales a turn, you can kind of get more hits in before he dies, or you can kind of set up to get a outcast attack off to get a kill or two and give them some healing in the process. But definitely going to take some more experimentation until I think it's known for sure if Demon Shroud or Razor Fist is better. But basically what this comp is trying to do here is we're basically trying to leverage Jaina and Varden. We are trying to slow them down with Varden, maybe get off a good cold snap to deny them a turn. And then Jaina, we're just spamming ice floats most of the time. That way we are buffing our frost abilities, so buffing herself and buffing Varden. And she's just kind of a pain to kill because she does have that ice block, so she can make Varden a lot scarier of a threat. And by slowing them down, we can kind of benefit from Illidan, whose abilities are a little bit slower, at least his second and third ones. But yeah, this has felt quite good. I do think something like this could maybe use a little bit more ways of leveraging the bonus stats, like getting bonus ways to buff your guys. I think it could be kind of cool trying a Tyrion in here maybe. Either in replace of the Blink Fox, or maybe you could even get rid of Cairne Diablo entirely and go for something kind of different with Tyrion and Ragnaros, or Tyrion and another Protector. Could be kind of interesting. But this is the one that I've been seeing the most play in terms of Illidan builds, and it definitely seems pretty solid. Now, the final build we're going to be looking at here is Frost Eudora. So this is very similar to the last build. It's kind of a frost-focused build that relies on leveraging your Jaina and your Varden to scale up and slow down the enemy. And then this one actually runs Eudora as its opening green instead of Illidan. Eudora has proved to be very powerful with her cannon spawning passive, which we are running here, primed armaments. And then covering fire can be really clutch. I actually had a really cool game that I won because of a good timed covering fire. That was for one of the coin concede open rounds. So I'm going to be hopefully having a video up on that later this week, because it's a really fun, I love taking part in the community events, and we had some really good games. So definitely going to do a little bit of post narration on that one, because they were really fun games. But yeah, this is actually what basically allowed me to win my games this week. This was basically one of my sideboard lists, and it kind of just ran away with the game. Eudora is really tricky to deal with, especially if they don't have like an AoE centric start, like they're not running Shadow Sam. it can be really tricky for them to like deal with the cannon while still dealing with your guys. And if you get a good timed covering fire off, you can get one of your backbench units out earlier, which can be really good. And she's just a really good unit. The only thing I will say is Eudora comps in general, I do think are a bit harder to play because doing optimal cannon placement is really hard. It is certainly not the most straightforward thing in the world, but it is one of those things where making that correct play that's hard to identify might gain you 5 or 10% win rate over a lot of games. So it's definitely become one of my favorite comps for that reason, and I expect to do a video on it soon because I really like that kind of skill testing element where you feel like you're learning a little bit more each time, and that knowledge is definitely contributing to higher win stats. But yeah, so that is that's gonna be it for Meta Monday number 2. Fair amount of changes and fair amount of things staying the same. We are going to be getting new mercenaries soon, though. We still don't know any information about those new mercenaries really, other than it seems likely Valera is going to be one of them. But yeah, it should be really good. I'm really hoping we do get some very powerful stuff with these new mercs, because I do want to hopefully disrupt this very popular and prevalent Cairne Diablo cookie backbench, because I don't think individually it's problematic for the game, but I do think them together is just really, really strong synergy, and I don't think it needs to be like nerfed or anything. I think we just need some more strong synergy units printed that can make for other interesting, strong backlines that are kind of as good as this, or at least up there in power level. But yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing something like that soon. We'll definitely be trying to cover the meta on the podcast as well. If you haven't checked that out, currently we are airing that every week, Friday, 12 p.m. EST. We talk about mercenaries, the meta, things going on in the community, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely check that out, and look forward to the next one coming on Friday. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a little bit more news about the expansion stuff before then, so I'll have some more stuff to talk about regarding that. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does go a long way towards helping the channel grow, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, would love to hear from you as well in terms of has there been anything you've been seeing a lot of in your own kind of meta that wasn't covered here or anything like that? Or is there a comp you think might be kind of a sleeper in the current meta that not many people are noticing? I'd love to hear that. So if you have any stuff like that, definitely share below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. But until next time, that's going to do it for me. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.